Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's GRACE Teacher Training, part of the Green Europe Active Citizenship and the Environment Initiative. My name is Jennifer Hill, and I have the pleasure of moderating today's session. Joining me are our wonderful tutors, Luisa Broli, Mike Orr, Ryan Licata, Agostino Cambize, and Daniela Ferrari, who is also our project manager. On behalf of all of us, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our esteemed guest, Professor Ilaria Pertot, and to all of you, our participants. Before we begin, I want to quickly remind you that if you would like to receive a certificate of attendance, please make sure that your Zoom name is updated with your first and your last name. Today's webinar is structured into two different sessions, and we're going to be in breakout rooms working together twice today. Our schedule is quite packed, so I'll keep my introduction brief so we can make the most of our time together. We are incredibly fortunate today to have Professor Pertot with us for this interactive webinar on teaching sustainability through challenge-based learning. As educators, we play a vital role in addressing the urgent environmental challenges our world faces. This webinar offers us a unique opportunity to explore how challenge-based learning can empower our students to become active participants in creating sustainable solutions. Now, allow me to introduce our speaker. Ilaria Pertot, PhD, is a professor at the Center Agriculture Food Environment at the University of Trento. With a strong background in agricultural sciences, Professor Pertot is an expert in sustainable agriculture and alternatives to chemical pesticides. Her research focuses on developing innovative and eco-friendly strategies to protect crops from diseases while minimizing environmental impact. She has published extensively in prestigious scientific journals and actively collaborates with international research institutions. Professor Pertot employs challenge-based learning in her university courses and has extensive experience supporting colleagues interested in implementing this innovative learning technique. Professor Pertot, we are thrilled to have you here and look forward to your insights and expertise. Without further ado, I'll now hand the floor over to you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm really pleased to be here for this very challenging webinar, and we are talking about challenges. So let me share the screen with you. I have a presentation that will help me in talking about the different aspects of this very interesting learning tool. Just let me know if you can see the slides. Okay, this is the outline of the webinar. As Jennifer already introduced, we have two different types of work. One is the presentation of the methodology, and the other part is active working on the same methodology. So I would like to ask you to engage yourself in trying to develop a challenge for your students. So there will be two different sessions in which you will work in the rooms with some.
I'm sorry, Professor Pertot. It doesn't. We cannot see your slides.
You cannot see my slides.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's a problem. We should have tested before.
Okay.
Let's
it looks
see.
Okay. We see your screen now.
Okay.
Perfect.
Also the slides moving. Great. Thank you. So this is the outline of our webinar. As you can see, we have some introduction and then two different steps in which you will work directly on this tool. But let's start on the key topic. So after the webinar, you will be able, I think, to organize a challenge for your students. I will, in a few seconds, start describing what is this interesting tool. However, this will be your task to identify some possible topics that can be the basis for a challenge for your students. Select the best one, and the idea is to have a challenge which is interdisciplinary and can inspire the group of the students. And in the second step, you will also try to organize the challenge in terms of topics, in terms of timing, in terms of activities. I will not address the evaluation because it's a very complex part. Therefore, we will stop just with organization of the challenge. However, what is the challenge-based learning? It's a tool, it's a very innovative tool that is more and more used in the universities in Europe. This is ECIU consortium, is a consortium of 13 universities in Europe who decided to invest in this tool, and the University of Trento, in which I'm teaching, is really believing that is the methodology for the future. The reason why CBL, challenge-based learning, is considered to be the teaching methodology for the future is because it really engages the students in solving a real-world problem. So the students will face a challenge, something that has no solution, and this is the difference between problem-based learning and challenge-based learning. So the challenge is something that doesn't exist, so they have to really discover something new. And by doing that, they can develop critical thinking, collaboration skills, and they can also put in practice what you are teaching them in the class. So this methodology is very flexible. You will see it can be adapted to any type of course. Can be school, high school, university, PhD students. All of them can be involved with this type of of learning, and it's also a way to address challenges in the real world. There are many companies that are asking us to learn the technique in order to implement it with their employees. So it's something really flexible that you can adapt. And another point is that it deals with a wide, complex problem, challenge, and the students, they have to put together the different pieces of knowledge that they get commonly from the different courses. So the interdisciplinarity is one of the key points of this type of methodology. Normally, the CBL is structured in 3 steps. We have the first steps, which is the step of the engagement, in which we engage ourselves as teachers. We engage some external members that can help in the challenge, but we also engage the students in the challenge. The second part is the investigate step, in which the students start to pose the question. They start to look where they can find the knowledge in order to solve the challenge. And after that, obviously, in this step, you as a teacher are asked to provide the necessary knowledge. So this is why a challenge can be also organized during the entire year. So you can start at the beginning, and then by adding some knowledge, you can develop the investigate part during your courses, and then ending for the act stage, which is the last part, where the students are already into the problem. They have already all the tools that are necessary to solve the challenge, and then they put really in practice. They build the prototype, they build the document, they build the project in order to reach their final goal. The engagement phase, so it's the first part. In the engagement phase, is you start with the selection of the challenge. I will give you some tips on how to do that, and this is one of the exercises that we are doing together in the rooms. So the challenge should be broad enough, should be something that, again, doesn't exist, but obviously is based on knowledge that the students are acquiring during your lessons. So if you are a teacher in, let's say, science, biology, chemistry, history, and so on, this stage is quite crucial, because commonly teachers, they work together in order to find something that can bridge different disciplines in order to find the links between the different part of the teaching program. So the choice of the challenge is very important. So if we are talking sustainability, so for example, we can address climate change. Climate change can be addressed from different points of view and from different disciplines. And the different steps in the knowledge that can be given to the students can cover part of your program. Then commonly in a challenge, we used to have a challenge provider. The challenge provider is an external actor. So it's someone who is launching the challenge to the students, are not the teachers, is an external person. Commonly can be a company, can be an expert, can be a researcher. So it's someone who is waiting for the answer, is waiting for the solution. And in this way, the students start to confront themselves with an external actor, not just with the teacher. So they have to respond, they have to answer to this external person. Again, the topic should be broad enough. It's better for the challenges to have students coming from different backgrounds. So in the university, commonly we ask students, we combine students from different courses, also different age, because this can enrich the interdisciplinarity. However, in schools, this I think it's much more difficult to do, but again, trying to combine learners that are from different age, if possible, it's a good benefit, because the olders can help the youngers and then can mix together. In the engagement phase, once you have found the topic of the challenge and you have found the challenge provider, can be also another teacher, not of the same group of students, for example. The challenge is launched, and the learners, the students, start to explore the challenge from different perspectives. They try to analyze it, they try to understand what is the real goal. So when we launch the challenge, we should be ensure that all the participants have a clear understanding of the objective of the challenge. So, for example, if I say that we would like to find the way of decreasing our use of water at home by 5%, we have to be sure that the students clearly understand this specific goal. So it's important to spend some time in the class in order to clearly discuss, clearly explain what is the challenge that they have to face. Then it starts the investigation phase, which is quite important, because it's the step in which the learners have to obtain and analyze the information. And this can be done in different ways. So you can have lectures in the class, you can have simulation, you can have games, can be field work, can be surveys, or any type of activity that can improve their engagement in the topic, but obviously can be also some basic lecture in the class or some basic exercise in the class that you are still doing in your program. Students should also be stimulated to go to look outside the material that is given in the class, also searching in the website, searching in the database, also doing interviews with the expert or any other resource that you think can be useful. In the investigation phase, it's important the presence of the teacher, the constant presence of the teachers, and also the challenge provider, if you think it's useful, in order to discuss and to see if they are going in the right direction and they are not losing time in doing things that are not good for their challenge. So in the investigation phase, the students, they get the full understanding of the domain in which they are working. So they should see the problem from the different point of view. In the action phase, we have the real work where they are asked to build the solution. So they can go from the idea. So maybe they want to reduce the consumption of water at home by 5% by, let's say, a new website or a new Instagram account that gives some tips. Now they have to do it. So they have to really put in practice the idea that they have in mind. And in this step is quite useful to work with them with a SWOT analysis where they can really test the robustness of their solution. And when they are really sure on what they want to implement, then they should be guided to prepare a concrete and actionable project. So the different steps in order to reach the final goal. The last part of the action phase is the presentation of the results. Normally is a pitch, is a PowerPoint presentation. Nowadays is more Canva presentation. They like it more. They present it to a jury. Can be all the teachers with the challenge provider or also external people that has to evaluate. And commonly we evaluate the two levels, the teamwork, which is the result of the pitch. So if the pitch is good, is communicative and so on. And we evaluate also the single work if they did, for example, some research, some survey, some calculation, some analysis, or something that they identify as an individual work. The challenge is done part in the class and part as individual work at home, because during the action phase, students should be asked to divide their project into different packages of work. So each of them has to take care of some part. So for example, some analysis or some additional gaining information. So the presentation can be also accompanied by a report, so something written, where they can put much more into detail what they did. So the idea in the action phase is from the idea that they have to reach a practical solution, something that can be implemented in the real world. What are the advantages for the students in this approach? Is that they have a deeper understanding of what you are what they are learning. There is also better retention of the concept. They are more motivated because they see their baby. So the solution is something that grows day by day in their hands. They work in the real world, so it's also up to you to find the good challenge that they can perceive as a real one. They are also more critical. They can also jump from one discipline to the others. So it's quite good in that sense. And they are prepared for the future, because more and more in the future we have to address things that doesn't exist. So it's very common in our life. They start to collaborate. They learn the teamwork. Our students nowadays are more and more individual thinkers than team workers. And obviously you have the development of the soft skills. This is quite obviously. And also the process of feedback with the teacher and the iteration of the process. So it doesn't work, what I can do next. It helps in understanding that if something fails, you can always adjust. What are the advantages for the teachers? Obviously, if you enlarge the challenge to an external stakeholder, so for example, a company, you can also start to have more contacts with the world and generate impact. It's a new teaching method. It's also very, 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 let's say, challenging, and you can also feel more engaged on that. You can also start new projects, innovation projects, especially for the disciplines in which you develop something practical. And it's also good because if you work with colleagues, you can strengthen the relationship with your colleagues, collaboration, and so on. And then also the feeling that the students are more motivated is also a good point also for us as a teacher. So this is basically the three steps that I just described. So it's just a summary. The first step is understanding the big idea. So from a big idea to a challenge, this is an important step. And then how to develop the investigate step and the action step with the development of the challenge. But these are all things that we will do during our work in the rooms. For the engage, obviously we have to find the big idea. These are just examples of big ideas from where we can start from. So for example, a big idea can be a sustainable use of natural resources, such as water, food, energy, air, the climate change and the effect on the planet, public health, economy, downtowns, recovery, growth, conflict, human nature, personal, team and cultural identity, health and wellness. You can see all these big ideas can be explored in order to find the right challenge. But then we have to go from the big idea to the real challenge. So once you decide to work, for example, on climate change or food sustainability, for example, then we have to start to ask essential questions that put the big idea into a practical level. So, for example, if I want to there is an increase in the consumption of sustainable food, how can we understand what is the sustainable food? How can we communicate what is a sustainable food? So these are all questions that start to translate the big idea into a practical question. So if you start thinking, how can I increase the consumption of sustainable food? That's the right way to find the good challenge. So going into an example, so sustainable use of water. What is the impact of my water consumption in my community? This is an essential question that helps you in finding the challenge. Eating healthy and sustainable food, for example, how can I eat more healthy food? This is again an essential question from where we can start. Big idea, eating more healthy and sustainable food, how people can eat more sustainable food. What are the examples of innovative sustainable food? Are the companies that produce sustainable food? A challenge provider producing veg salami are an example for sustainable food. Can we build the challenge with this challenge provider? This is a step that can be done from the big idea to the challenge. This is just an example. This is a challenge that we had in the university. So we thought that eating vegetarian is more sustainable. We had data for that. And the challenge for the student was to find solution to increase the consumption of the vegetarian salami. We found a company that is producing vegetarian salami in a very sustainable way. And we asked the students to develop a great idea in order to put people more in contact with this new type of food. And these are the solutions that they develop. So this was the team who provided the best solution according to the challenge provider, the company. And they decided to propose this veg salami for people that are for fitness, for people that are interested in fitness and being healthy and so on. And they invented the packaging. You can see here pictures created with artificial intelligence. And they also said maybe we can offer in a fitness center, in gyms and fitness center events, and they also prepare all the way in which this product can be presented. And they also thought about some community events where the product can be presented. So they develop all the package of communication in order to put people more in contact, to let people know that there are some alternatives to meat in order to be more sustainable. This is just an example, big idea, several questions, find the challenge provider, and then put in practice and obtaining a very nice results with the students. Some tips, try to develop a local solution to a global problem, not to address the global problem, otherwise the students can be really confused. So try to focus local, try to focus on things that they can understand, that they can perceive, they can be familiar with. And also something that can be actionable, so something that can be a little bit feasible. If it's something that is really impossible, can be very frustrating for the team. Don't find challenges that are too broad or too vague. In that case, obviously you will fail because they cannot understand the direction where to go. But also don't go for a challenge that is very narrow. So if they have to solve something that is very specific, maybe you are not obtaining all the advantages of the CBL, which should be interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary as much as possible. All the members should be involved, should be that the challenge should be real and meaningful for all the students. So there should be something that they can manage, handle. So if they are minors, don't talk about alcohol, for example, is something that they cannot address. If they are, let's say, they don't eat pork because of religion limitation, don't address this type of challenges. Otherwise, you will have people that will stay a little bit aside. If the students are personally connected with the challenge, so spend some time talking with them to see what are their interests, what they like. This can also help you in finding the right challenge to offer. Okay, so I think I gave you most of the basic information. Obviously, challenge-based learning is very complex, and we should most probably spend 1 week discussing and talking. So this is just a kind of first information. But let's go to the part in which you can work directly on the challenge. But before that, if there are some urgent questions, something that you didn't understand, maybe this is the right time for asking before starting the practical work. Okay, if not, I will show you the document that you I think you still see my screen. Okay, so this is the document that you will receive. So after this instruction, you will be divided into different teams. So you are doing a challenge today, like your students in the future. Now the challenge, as I mentioned at the beginning, is to find a topic, find a solution that can be interesting for your students. So the first step of this work is to think about a possible topic for a challenge. So individually, each of you now have some time, a couple of minutes, not so much, to think about a possible topic. You see big ideas, you see what we mentioned before. So try to imagine what can be a very good very good challenge. So starting from your domain, I think is the best one, but also thinking to organize a challenge with your colleague. Later on, you will be in teams. Maybe you are coming from different organizations. Maybe you are teaching different disciplines, and try to find a challenge which starts from your disciplines for sure, but can also cover other things that can be interesting for your students, for the age of your students, for the interest of your students. And I give you a couple of minutes for that. Okay, I think that all of you already have a good challenge. Now we go to explaining the exercise that we are doing. Okay, so once you will be in the rooms, I ask you to introduce yourself. So you are groups of 5, 6 persons. And it's important that the others know your name. So just spend a minute to say who you are and what is your discipline, where you are teaching. And then indicate a rapporteur. It's important that you identify for each team a rapporteur in order to make the writing more, let's say, organized. So the rapporteur, the task of the rapporteur is to write the different parts after the discussion you will have during the time in the room. So the first step is to write your challenges here. So each of you has already a challenge or identified. You can individually write your own one on the list. At the end, you will have 5 to 6. It depends on how many people will be in the group today. You will have 5 to 6 challenges, and then start. Obviously, the rapporteur has the role of writing, because if we all write the second part, it will be too chaotic. So the rapporteur is just doing the writing work, and try to make a very simplified SWOT analysis of your solutions. So you have the solution 1, and try to discuss among you why it is good and why it can fail. It's a very simplified analysis. Obviously, the SWOT analysis is more complex. We don't have time. So take 15 minutes for each solution, try to find a good point and a reason for failure. This is very important because it helps you in having a more objective analysis of the solution. At the end of this 15 minutes, the team has to select one. Maybe it's not perfect, maybe it can be implemented, maybe there are 2 or 3 that are comparably good. The idea is that in 15 minutes, you do a fast analysis and you take your solution. Why I'm putting the time in this exercise? And you will see that the exercise is very stressful. You will not have so much time to do the job. And this is the spirit of the challenge-based learning. This is something that you should also do with your students. Students tend to be more relaxed if you don't put pressure. And pressure is also important for creativity. We are more creative when there is a little bit of stress and time stress, but also they learn how to work under stress, which is a good exercise. We are not used to work under stress anymore, and this is a good exercise, a good training for them. And this strict timing that I propose to you has this specific purpose. Start to work under stress. So 15 minutes, the rapporteur has also to keep time, take your mobile phone aside and take the time and try not to exceed the time that is given. And 5 minutes to discuss the SWOT analysis, or the simplified SWOT analysis, and decide for the solution. And you have to transform the challenge in the clear objective. So, for example, we want to improve the consumption of vegetarian food. The clear objective is we want that people are more aware of the vegetarian food, because in that way they can increase their consumption. Or we want to introduce vegetarian food in the canteens at school. What can we do? So these are just examples that put the challenge into a clear objective. If you can quantify the level of the achievement, it's even better, because the students can also measure the level of engagement that, for example, people should have in let's say, eating more food, more vegetarian food, and so on. And after this discussion, write your final challenge here. So it doesn't matter which type of challenge you select. Try to make it feasible. Try to quantify the objective that they have to reach and write it here. It's sufficient one sentence. You don't have to write a page. One sentence, a couple of sentences, just to give the idea, because then after the time in the rooms, we will meet again here in the plenary session, and each team with the rapporteur will communicate, will describe what is their selection, their challenge, and we will also see what are the different ideas that pop up during this exercise. I think I can stop here. This is the first part. I think we are perfectly on time. Still some time for questions if you have. Now we are dividing in the different rooms, and we will meet again after the given time, which is half an hour. You have also 10 minutes break. So if you need a little bit more time, you can use the 10 minutes. If you complete your task in 30 minutes, then you can relax, take a cup of tea, because I think it's almost time for a tea.
Professor Pertot, you have a few questions. Elizabeth Matteo, was your question answered? You can write in the chat yes or no, or you can unmute about the timing. Elizabeth, oh, you are muted. I'll ask you to unmute.
I wanted to ask how long will be the task for a class or a group of students?
What do you mean, how long?
I don't know, a month,
This is something that we will decide later on. So, but you can already anticipate that in the group. So the challenge-based learning can be organized in 20 hours in 50 hours, in 150 hours. I think that the right time is 25 hours, 10 hours in the class and 15 hours at home. That's I think the minimum. So what we are doing today is something which is totally crazy. So it's a real challenge. But it's just to pass you the idea of what is challenge-based learning. So I would say 25 hours in total. This is the minimum time. But in the team, you can also discuss that, although this is part of the task too. We will talk later on about the time. So now focus on the idea. That's, I think, is already very good brainstorming.
Okay, there's another question from Katya.
Hello, I'm sorry, I might have lost something. The last part in which you were explaining the solutions, discussion of the solutions, right?
Right.
What was it about? I got lost because it was a big idea, and then were solutions about what? It was pros and cons and the SWOT analysis of.
Okay, so you have a big idea. You translate the big idea into something that can be actionable. So climate change, okay, it's true, but what we can do for climate change. Then you download the downscale the question to something practical. So how can we in the daily life reduce the impact in terms of CO2 emissions or climate gas CO2 emissions, and then each of you has this idea. You analyze the pros and cons of the 6 or 5, 6 ideas of the team with the pros and cons, because some of you think about climate, some others think about historical problems, democracy, whatever, food sustainability. And then there are different topics, and you select one in the team that you think is the most suitable. After that, you should refine it, because I'm sure that after the discussion, even if you select one of the ideas of the team, some refinement can be done, because if you find already some weak points, maybe you can readjust, or maybe you can combine two solutions. So the idea is to have a little discussion after describing or analyzing the challenges that you have put for your students, and to finalize the challenge of your group. So the idea is that after the discussion, you select among your personal choices the strongest one, and you also improve it in order to make it more feasible, more appealing for your students.
Okay, we have one more question. For which age groups school would you recommend the challenge approach? Because when we are talking about 20 to 25 hours of work, this clearly depends on the age too, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think you have to find the answer by thinking and trying to organize. 24 hours, 25 hours is commonly what we recommend in order to get some practical solution, because you need some time in order to work on it. It depends. So if the challenge is simple, if the students are young or are old or they are skilled. So for example, you can also organize a challenge in your course. So you launch the challenge in the first day, then you have your lessons. And obviously this is the part of investigate. So the students, they have to follow your teaching, because if they don't get the knowledge, they are not able to solve. But they already start following your lessons with the challenging mind. So they put more attention on what you are saying, because they have to solve it. And at the end, you devote, at the end of your course, at the end of the year, you devote, let's say, 10 hours in order to act, in order to build a solution. So they have to use what you thought during your course, and then they have to build into a solution. Obviously, with something external, not just your lessons, because otherwise it's just project-based learning. So they have to also explore outside. And this is an additional push for them to look at in the real world. So there is a question on a group, but I think you will get support from the tutors in the coming minutes.
Okay, I think we're ready to go into the breakout rooms.
Okay, so see you in 40 minutes with your big ideas.
See you then.
Okay, I think we are all back again in the plenary, and we are ready for the second part of the work. I will give you some information and then instruction for the work. Just let me share the screen. Okay, now it's shared. I hope you enjoy. I saw your work and it was very productive. I see very nice ideas for challenges. I would participate. I would like to participate to those challenges. The investigation phase, it's very important in terms of delivering the right knowledge to the students. And also it's important in this step, the creation of the teams. You have been divided by the organizer into teams. And commonly, we don't let the students to divide autonomously into teams, but we decide from our knowledge the people that will be allocated in the different teams. In this way, you are the teacher, you know your students, you can have in the same group someone who is more proactive, someone who is more shy. So you can build a kind of harmonized groups, not to have all the best students in one group and all the lazy students in the other. So try to have some biodiversity. This can help. And the teams, they are competing, so they should be aware from the beginning. They are competing for the evaluation, for the award at the end. If you can give a prize to the team, it's also good. That can stimulate more the idea of competing. From my experience, I recommend to have a number between 4 and 7 students in each team, not less than 4 and not more than 6, because then if it's too big, the group it's difficult to handle, and there is always someone who is doing less than the others. So a random selection or guided selection of the composition is good, and try to ensure diversity in attitude, but also in the level, in the capabilities. Try to have some diversity in the group. And then it's important to ask the team to assign specific roles. So it's not the teacher, is not the team chair who assigned the role, but it's the team who assigned the role. But they have to do. So when I ask you to decide who is the facilitators, basically is that you should do at the beginning, because the team can try to define what are the roles. In each group, you should have at least one facilitator, some research specialists, so the people that are more dedicated on gathering, analyzing the data, and so on. The solution designer who the person who is guiding how the solution will develop, also the documenter who is producing the materials, getting the deliverables, and so on. So try to define roles. You are free on that. However, facilitator is always important to have, because it's the leader of the team. And the team has to express by themselves the role to be assigned to the different persons. So in somehow you will see that the leader will get the position of the facilitator, and person that are more, that the attitude is more on the study, they will go for the research specialist or for the documenter. It's also good after the team is created to do some activities in order to build the feeling of being the team. And I always do this game. It's very nice, very funny. You have to prepare a paper train, like this one that you see in the picture, by cutting slices of paper from a sheet with scissors, and sticking the ends with sellotape, with glue or whatever you want to use to combine the two hands. And the team has some time, 1 minute commonly, to organize the activities, because all the action should be done only with one hand. So you should one should cut the piece of paper, one has to build the chain, one has to put the sellotape in order to stick the two hands, and so on. And by doing that, they have a lot of fun commonly, and they realize that it's important to assign a task, and the task should be feasible, and to work together. So if you have only one hand, you have to trust on the others. And this starts, put them into the mood of working together with the team. There are many other games that you can invent, but this works very well. You don't need so much material. It's very fast to organize, and it is a lot of fun for the students. Then we enter in the investigate activities, which are most probably the part of the work which is more linked to your classical teaching. However, as I mentioned before, there are the classical activity, but there are also activities that look outside the school, they look outside the class. So they have to, for example, have access to a certain database, and then they have to retrieve information. They have to collect information from the web, for example. They are quite good on that. They can also interview stakeholders outside, so they can plan surveys, interviews outside. So you can organize beside the teaching in the class also activities that can be organized at home or outside the class, and then can link your challenge to the real world. And these are just examples regarding the substitution of the meat. We organize some exercise, for example, on calculating the greenhouse gas emission of the livestock production. So we did some seminars with experts on that. We calculate together with the group the use of the land in terms of producing feed for the animals or producing legumes for the humans. This was also nice work. And we also make the calculation of the water consumption of beef and vegetable products. So we work together in the class by making this calculation. So each student had a certain product to calculate the consumption of water for the production. These are just examples. Then there was also the a seminar on the impact on deforestation, where we ask an expert on the Amazon rainforest to give some update on what is going there in terms of deforestation. There were also some testing, so we brought some alternatives to meet in the class, and so the students could test it, could analyze to see the package, or to talk with the expert. In the case of culture meat, we also asked some researcher to present the process of culturing meat cells in the lab. These are just examples that can inspire your work in order to be more creative also in the teaching part. Then we reach the act phase, in which the team has to produce a project. Obviously, for this step, it's good if you can provide some basic knowledge on how to prepare a project. So what is the flow chart, the different steps in the project. This can be additional teaching to provide soft skills for them. And then we enter in the real building the solution. And for this, you can find a lot of literature. Beside my presentation, I also gave another PowerPoint presentation, which is produced by the ECAU working group on challenge-based learning, where you can find some ideas. However, I found very interesting the 5 days sprint design methodology. It's a book. It's a methodology. It's not that new, but you can read this book if you are interested, because it gives you a lot of ideas for a challenge, especially in the part of the implementation. The sprint design is a challenge which is specifically designed for companies, but can be adapted to any situation. And it's developed in 5 days of the week, in which in one day the learners, they have to make a map to bring their idea into a practical solution. Then they also analyze the competitors, because their idea can be also seen in comparison to what is existing. So the competitors may have better ideas. So they try to compare things with the other solutions. Then on Wednesday, they decide for the best process, and then they start building the prototype. Sometimes when we work with a real prototype, they also put hands into the material. So if you have a lab, so if they can construct something, if the challenge is aiming to construct something, you can also dedicate some time for that. And then on Friday, they test with the target customers. They do some interviews with potential customers. They try to see if it's effective and working for their purpose. So the book is, I don't like to advertise books, but I found it very, very, very useful. You can also download as an ebook from Amazon. I think it costs a couple of euros, €5, I think, maximum. This is an interesting material for organizing the challenge. Here I also suggest some methodologies that can be used, especially in the part of brainstorming, when they have their solution, but then they have to put in practice. This is the classical sticky note brainstorming, where all the people think about a solution they put on the wall, and then they reorganize for similarities, so they cluster into similar ideas, and then they select the best process for reaching a solution. In somehow you did a kind of brainstorming in the beginning of the last session, where you had a lot of ideas and you had to go down to one single solution. So it's similar process, the brainstorming. But it's also good to have them in thinking as a system, not just a single part. So the system thinking is a very good approach. And basically is that the system is the combination of interaction of the single part, not just the sum of the single part. And for the system thinking, it can be also useful to use maps, mental maps, to scout for all the different aspects that they have to take into consideration in building their solution. So this system thinking helps them in putting things together, so they can, for example, understand how similar are disciplines, so physics, mathematics, chemistry, so they can see similarities, they can see that each discipline can be linked to the other, can be useful when it's seen in a system, with a system view. There are many tools that can be used. I see that students like to use Canva for mind mapping. It's very simple to use. They can share the model, but they can also use Xmind app, which is very good for creating a mental map of the solution. So, for example, they have to develop the solution, and they put the different steps, and then for each step they analyze the single parts. That's very useful to have a visual view of the entire process. They can also use different sub-solutions and vote for them if they are a big group. This visualthesaurus.com can also help in creating this type of maps for the brainstorming. Another approach which is very interesting, I think, is the fishbone tool, in which they put on the head of the fish the challenge, their solution that they have to work with, and then for all the causes that are at the basis of the challenge, they identify them and they put on the top of the bones of the fish. So, for example, the procedures, the policies, the plant, the people, these are the causes of, let's say, excessive water consumption in the cities. And then they go inside for each of these bones of each of these causes. They go and ask questions, but why this is happening? And then they go down step by step until they find all the different elements that should be taken into consideration in building the solution. You can find plenty of examples in the web, in the literature. So this is just to illustrate some of the possibility that I found very useful for this type of exercise. Then they have to plan the activities to go from the idea to the prototype of the solution, to the report, to the pitch of what is the results that you want to get from them. The role of the team chair is very important in this step, because when they work together in the team as a team chair is a new word, which is a mixture of teacher and team. So it's someone who is a teacher, but is also helps the group in working together. So the team chair is not providing solution, is not giving things that they can find by themselves, but is just organizing the work and put pressure in order to complete the task in the given time. Obviously, it's important to organize this part in terms of timing. So the question that was posed before, how much time we have to allocate, this is an important question that is good to discuss with your peers, with the other teachers, if you are organizing together. Is 20 hours, 40 hours, 50 hours, whatever. The duration is just 1 week, or it's a challenge that will last from the beginning to the end of the year. what are your learning objectives, the type of solution that you are expecting. So the students, they have to produce a project, they have to produce a prototype, they have just to describe an idea. You want to have a physical report like a document, or do you want to have a pitch with a small presentation of a couple of minutes of the team? The level of technology, TRL stays for technology readiness level of the solution. Do you want to have just a proof of concept, or do you want to have a prototype? So if you are in a school where they are studying for becoming technicians, so maybe a prototype is a good output of the code. Then time. I think that is an important question. We have many things that we could discuss in this in challenge-based learning, but I decide to focus on the time because this is a frequent question that I get from the teachers. So let's say that you have decided for 24 hours. So this is more or less how to divide the 24 hours in the different activities. So, the objective of the challenge when you launch the challenge is 4% of the time. Then they have to do the state-of-the-art analysis, so with your lessons, 8% of the time. Generation of the solution, 16% of the time. Selection, a little bit less. Implementation, you see the big part is the implementation and designing the prototype. When I say designing the prototype, don't think necessarily to something physical. A prototype can be just an idea that is defined as a prototype idea. Implementing it and then preparing the final pitch, the presentation, so they need some time. They need also to organize the event. We always ask them to organize the presentation like a small workshop and we give them the task of inviting the people, organizing the time, find a room, organizing the room. And then we also ask to prepare a report, which is a document on which we evaluate them, which is also a big part of the time. So you see, this is what we recommend, but obviously it's up to you. You can decide how much time you would like to devote. This is a graph that shows you that this time can also vary according to the different use of the challenge-based learning. This is a comparison for university, so we can think about one ECTS, 2, 6. The bachelor thesis can be done with the CBL approach, master thesis. So you see that according to the different purposes, we dedicate, for example, for a master thesis, most of the time is in the implementing the prototype, which is then the master thesis, and also writing the thesis is also taking a lot of time. However, I decided to give you an interesting tool, which is an Excel file, in which you see on the left the design sprint, so the time that is allocated with this approach that I mentioned, and then according to the time that you want to allocate the hours. So you can also plan here, you put your hours that you want to dedicate, and then you can estimate and see compared to the standards that are commonly considered suitable. You can see how your CBL timing is organized in terms of percentage of the time allocated. It's good to visualize a little bit a different part of the work. And here you can see the part of developing the challenge. But now we are almost closer to the second part of our work. So there are the task instruction. You have 30 minutes. Then after the 30 minutes, we will meet again in the plenary. And the rapporteur will tell us the choice of the team. So for the second part, you are divided again in the same teams, so you have already your solution. And the idea is to write a very, let's say, light program of your challenge. So how you would like to organize your challenge, what are the activities and so on. You can use the Excel file. I hope you have already access. If not, I ask our technical support to give access or give the link to the my presentation and to the Excel, so you can go back and see what can be the activities. You can see here they are listed. So the idea is try to brainstorm, to imagine your challenge in your group. So it's important to decide what is the length of the challenge. So agree on a certain time, 20 hours, 30 hours, 50 hours. How many resources you will need, class, individual work. Try to define roughly how it can be divided. If you want to have more or less students in your team, and then the activities that you plan to do. Obviously, we have only 30 minutes. It's not so much time. So the idea of this work is just to put you into the process. So we are not expecting to have a challenge ready with a full program in 30 minutes, but just engage yourself and see how far you can go in the work. You can illustrate the program just by explaining. So the rapporteur will have the couple of minutes to explain the idea and how to develop it. I ask you to be very short, 2 minutes maximum, because there are 6 teams and we don't have so much time. If you want to use a PowerPoint, but I don't think it's necessary. It's much better if you can discuss and give some feedback to the group. So I think that now it's time to go back into the rooms. If there are urgent questions, I'm here to answer. I think we are all back here. Sorry for stopping your interesting work, but I think it's good also to share your impression. I think it was overambitious to make a challenge in a challenge, but I think you get a hint of the process. I would like to have your opinion. So if each rapporteur, starting from the team one, can share their idea and maybe some feedback from the group, that can be great. We have 15 minutes because some people have to leave, so so please, the team number one, I don't know who is the rapporteur, but I think you can manage by yourself.
Wait. I think I'm the team number one. I'm not sure, but
You are,
Yes.
Magdalena.
It's okay.
this is
You
what
can start.
Jennifer said. So I'll try to open. Sorry, I tried to open the file. Okay. I'll try. Okay. Oh, we have it.
Aye.
So we had like 3 different topics, but we decided about the topic about how to reduce the waste in A and B locations in Lydia's city, because this is already something that she proposed to the students. So the question that we actually narrowed down was, how can Airbnb owners better communicate local recycling regulations or suggestions to the guests, or how can we encourage tourists to produce less waste? Then if you can scroll down, we talk about different resources and what the students will need to do. We decided that it should be at least 3 weeks minimum of constant job, but we will encourage to spend more, like 1 month, because it's quite ambitious project. So we thought about the meeting with the representatives of the waste company to explain how waste collection works and to get some data about that. One meeting with the representatives of the tourist office of the city and the municipality team to tell them that we have this plan. and this project to do. The meeting with the real owners that wants to participate in this prototype phase. Then the students in the teams, we thought about 6 to 7 students. And then what we have to do is for sure to do some research what has already been done. Maybe already municipality was trying to do something about that problem. Then we want to collect some data of how much waste and what kind of waste they really produce in this village. So maybe there is no need to talk about all of them, but there is a specific one that we should target. Then we would like to contact those who will be taking part in our pilot project. Then municipality officials, of course, not only to call for the projects, to present the project, but also to ask them for official support to get more recognition. So we are not like just a group from the school that is playing around the project, but we want to give a very official range of this project together with the stakeholders. And what outputs we thought that might be possible is kind of like vademecum in the form of the leaflets or the video on the municipality website. And those leaflets should be in different languages because we are in Italy, and of course we will have like a whole range of tourists coming. Then we would like to upload this video on the different websites that the tourists can actually visit in order to find out more about the city. And then the leaflets we want to put also in the locals, so in the accommodation, but also in any other places where the tourists are going and visiting, like museums, restaurants, cinemas, different types. And then finally, we would like to create a website showing if it was what was the stages and actually to where this project leads us and what was actually the real effect of this project. And if it will be successful, we want to ask also stakeholders to maybe promote it more, to be multiplied somewhere else. And again, from this perspective of these facilitators or the taker or those who are going to take care about the project, we want to give also the recognition, like official recognition for the students for taking this risk on their shoulders, and maybe give them some recommendation from the school, but also from the municipality stakeholders or the city. Okay, that's all.
Great, super, super work, very nice. I think you got really the spirit of the challenge.
Thank you.
Thank you. Team number 2.
Yes, can you hear me now? Yes.
Now, yes.
I'm Wendy, I'm from team number 2. I don't know how team number 1 was able to do all these. Probably we are not so efficient, but it's okay. So I'm a little bit intimidated right now. Do you want me to?
No, you can just tell.
Okay, so we worked together. We decided to work with the main topic was about fast fashion. And the challenge we wrote it down was we would like to dress in a more sustainable way. Regarding the hours, we choose the 25 hours scheme that was mentioned, thinking about 10 hours at school and 15 hours at home. We divided the hours like in 4 sessions of 2 hours each in about 2 weeks. And then we made like a program thinking that in the first session, it should be done an introduction of the project, the challenge by the teacher. And then the second session should be about theoretical knowledge about fast fashions. So facts on production, climate, impact, and social, and so on. And the third section would be about with the invitation of an expert, that could be a green influencer or the owner of a local secondhand shop or something like that. The fourth session should be the beginning of the teamwork, so brainstorming and the first beginning of the different groups. So we divided like this in the 8 hours in those 4 days. And then we would give them about 5 days to do the group work in each group with the supervision of the teacher if necessary. And in the last day, the last session, again, 2 hours, so 8 plus 15 plus 2, we have the 5th hour. The last session should be at school with the presentation of the pitch that we decided that should be a small video, because we thought that they are all very able to something that they are used to produce and to do, and it can be very engaging and appealing. And besides the presentation of the pitch, we thought it would be nice to close it with a kind of a swap party, or even a fashion show, like the green carpet, not the red carpet, the green carpet. And this is if my group help me out, I hope I haven't forget anything. So
great, that's a wonderful idea. I think it's also a very nice challenge. Team number 3, because time is running fast, I hope not all of you will leave exactly.
I'm the reporter, I'm Raul. So we're very synthetic. So it's like this. Our challenge is how to improve local food production. So we thought about 50 hours, 15 in presence and 35 in autonomous work. And the researchers, they have to survey about the local reality, meeting with the municipality responsible for the area of agriculture and also farmers to know what's done in the municipality, research the internet about different realities, and discover also which food comes from far away, to have awareness of which food is grown locally and which food comes from a long distance. So, because the objective is to reduce carbon emissions. We thought about teams of 5 students, and they have to research data, make a survey, do the analysis of data, interviews, and also a public presentation. That will be the main output. We thought about the presentation in a public session, so people can engage with it and be more aware of what's done on the farming and the agriculture sector. And we thought about in weeks. Okay, week 1, team building, we organizing the team, the roles, and also brainstorming. And week 2, research data, field research, the survey, and the interviews, organizing the interviews. Week 3, analyzing data and working on starting to prepare the presentation. And on week 4, prepare the presentation and also the public event.
Great.
Can have a co-fashion show.
Yeah, very nice. Also this
with the synergy.
Very, very nice. Okay, team number 4.
Yes, I am the presenter. We were also thinking about impact of fast fashion, or more broadly speaking, clothing on the environment. And well, a lot has been said about it already, but basically we thought that we just decided on the standard framework that you presented of 25 hours in about 5 days. But that was a bit of a discussion. And our project was basically, challenge was how we can transform our school or the school into a place where clothing choices have less impact on the environment. Yeah, we thought about that the information gathering would mostly happen in class, and then in the groups, the students could maybe try to interview other students and maybe local experts on fashion stuff about information, and all of that would culminate in some sort of project like a flea market, maybe organized by the students. And yeah, we also had ideas about like where the clothes are coming from, and maybe put out a map. Yeah, things like that.
Very nice. I like also the flea market. It's a nice idea. Yeah. Thank you, Patrick. And then we have team number 5.
Yeah, hi everybody. That's me, Alex, here from team number 5. We discussed at length several challenges, and in the end came to challenge of transport in connection to climate change, where we wanted to challenge the students to find more sustainable and better ways of their individual transport to and from school, something very practical on a regional scale, maybe with better public transport, but also on a very local scale, that they bike and walk and choose those solutions over getting driven by their parents. We formulated a challenge directly then in the end, which we called Find Individual Sustainable Transport Means to and from School, as a direct challenge for the students, where they can engage on an individual level. Then out of time pressure or us being not that efficient than other teams, we had to skip a little bit of planning, but so I bring us directly to what types of output we were imagining. But probably a very, very similar time schedule that you proposed to us would definitely work. We were thinking they should make an engaging kind of TED-style talk video presentations on the solutions they found on how to use more sustainable transport means. Also create a poster which could be hanging in the school or several schools in the region to show more permanent presentation of the results they did and facilitate teamwork, which is also in the video. We also thought reach out into the more technological solution sector, that they maybe open a social media channel, write an app, or use Canva to present their solutions to more sustainable transport, and have a bonus system so that if they engage themselves into those transports means they found and collect kilometers walked, biked, or however used in their solutions, then there will be a reward certificate for them after the maybe a month or so that they really not just theorize on what to do, but also can get something out of doing it. And a quick program would be 4 or 5 days to start it, keep a personal diary on how to do this, find strategies, and prepare the social media challenge, and also conduct a survey of how people in the region commute as an additional one. So that's how far we got.
Great. I think it's plenty of ideas. Very nice. Let's see, team number 6, the last one.
That's us, yeah. So we chose a project on raising the awareness of students for a locally sourced dish that would have a low environmental impact, and we choose that to be polenta. So it would take us about 10 hours on 5 days. We would have three meetings, actually the meeting with the farmers, local farmers, meeting with millers, and with a local chef, maybe from a restaurant known for preparing local food. The team would be approximately 15 people, but be split into subgroups. So one group being responsible for the PR, another for the recipe, another for the cooking, and so on. And the output would be an event where the dishes would be prepared and offered to the school community. And meanwhile, also a TikTok story or any other kind of social media story with pictures and videos. So this is kind of the replacement for the recipe book to be more accessible to students. Now, of course, we worked so much, I could talk for 20 minutes, but I think that's what we want to hear.
I think this is also great. Thank you very much. I think you work very hard and it's plenty of idea. And I think you got the feeling of working together, interacting. I think that that's the most important part of this work, also from the side of the teachers. I think we are running late. If there are some questions that you think can be interesting for the community, you can post now. If you have any doubt, any interest, you can always contact me. In the presentation, there is my email address. You can write me if you need to have feedback, ideas, or if you want to join our future activities in the University of Trento. So thank you very much. Thank you to all of you, and I hope you enjoy this webinar.
Thank you, Professor Pertot. The ideas were amazing, and I think that you were very right, putting a little pressure, a little stress. I was just amazed with how many ideas were generated. I just want to mention that we put some information about the next session, the next webinar in the chat. Also, the Mentimeter, as usual. I want to say a very special thank you to Professor Pertot for being here and sharing her expertise and guiding us through such insightful exploration of challenge-based learning. Thank you to our tutors for your support and collaboration, and of course to you, the participants, for your engagement and enthusiasm. So we hope you leave this session with fresh ideas and inspiration, ready to implement some challenge-based learning in your classrooms. We look forward to seeing you next time in our next webinar. And until then, take care and continue to make a difference. Good night, everyone.